Welcome back to the Change of Plans podcast. I am Joe Aguirre with not one,
Yeah, that's right.
but two
Provenzanos.
two of them at once.
Yes, and I am the better looking one. I'm still the better looking one.
Claudia is the better looking one, and Vin is here too.
Oh,
So we
skip right
appreciate
over.
that.
How did you skip over? It's my show, bro.
Yes, not tonight. It's not. Tonight it is all about your better half. Your much better half. It's not your right or your left. It's seated well to your left.
This is fantastic.
I'm so excited. I only just met Claudia tonight. It was really great to meet you. And you got out of the car and you said he's like in rare form tonight. He's already pretty obnoxious, but it's like instead of a 10, he's at like a 17 right now.
Correct.
Yeah.
I am not. This was all off-air confidential conversations that's airing out my dirty laundry.
That's what we do on this show. We expose.
Yes.
We expose the truth.
That is.
We are transparent in all that we do.
This is 60 minutes?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Tell me how you were feeling, Vin.
I did not have a good day today. Today was I was on the struggle bus, but I'm back at it. I feel good now. My better half is here.
Was it a work thing or was it
Yeah.
just what's going on?
Yeah, it was a work thing. Like it's just a shit show of a case, and it just snowballed into like I just got in a zone, and I just couldn't snap out of it. Like,
But a suit that fit, I hope.
actually, it was kind of funny today. I had like a arbitration hearing, and I had to shut my camera off to get shit because I had shorts on with a blazer. So I had to tell the judge, I'm like, listen, I don't have pants on, and so that's why I shut the camera off. But it was a day. It's one of those. It was like a 500-pound man running downhill. Couldn't fucking stop.
Did you weren't wearing shorts last week, were you?
Yeah, remember I wore the all whites looking like Andre Agassi.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
That's right. Now,
Yeah.
the reason I ask is because, and fortunately, no one else can see this except for Claudia and I.
Short shorts.
This guy's wearing Daisy Dukes. I mean, I didn't know they made men's shorts that short. That's I see thigh for days.
Yes. hey, it's 5. It's a 5-inch.
It's definitely 5.
It's always 5. What is wrong with you? This is a family show. I'm of the like Magnum PI elk. Like I'm coming out with my hands this spring. So
Yeah.
I'm a man. I'm a grown ass man. We wear shorts. I'm like one step away from saying juicy on the back end. Or pink.
I could totally see that on those. Yeah, those are short.
They're all right.
But they must be comfortable. I assume you're comfortable, and that's
I had a
that's
good leg day today. My quad.
yeah. There you go. It's
I'm
leg
outside.
day,
Yeah.
showing them off.
Yeah. Popping.
Yeah.
It's all right. We'll get a lower camera angle later.
Well, that's all yours all the time.
I know.
Lucky you.
Yes.
How on earth did he drag you into this week?
This has been talked about for a little while, but he just sprung this upon me. Maybe today's Wednesday, so Monday night.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
It's just,
Yeah. So you knew for days.
I've had it that works in my head, but usually like I like to spring stuff. She's a thinker and I'm a doer.
Yeah.
So-
for sure.
Yes. So she's like, "What's the plan?" I'm like, "I don't really have a plan. This is what's gonna happen." And then I didn't tell her we're live, so
Nope.
she's even more.
You didn't know
excited
we were
about
just
that.
gonna go straight live too, right?
Nope, not until about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. No safety net here.
No
It's
safety
just
net.
there's no we can't stop.
No,
Yeah,
no
that's
sissy
great.
Bar, no training wheels.
Threw her right in the fire.
We're in it to win it. Yeah.
That's listen. I think if there's one pervasive attitude
Yeah.
on this show, you just summed it up.
No, we in it to win it. Full Monty all the time, dude. That's what we do.
I love that.
And it was in high demand for my wife to get on this thing. So I'm kind of annoyed though, because everyone always asks about my wife, and then it's now I'm just gonna get the comments. Oh my god, your wife's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's nauseating.
Did you think about not bringing her for that reason? Was that ever a thought in your
Yeah,
mind?
I
Once
was-
people see what's going on here, you're exposed.
Yes, I was really just hoping that we could just like log her in like remotely without a camera. That is, we had my sister's wedding, and she came home and asked me why I told everyone she was a 7. Because
All night.
all night I was calling her a 7, a solid 7. Because I'm sick of it. Sick of it. And then we went to our high school reunion, and I was pretty excited to get dirt on my wife. Nothing. 0 things. Right?
try to be a good person.
Oh, awful.
See what happens when you try.
Yeah. You can really do it.
It can be done.
Lesson learned. We're done with the
Effort.
podcast.
Once you put in some, see?
Yeah.
Now we know. We've learned the lesson. You got to actually try to do it.
Yes.
Funny, we were, and we'll get into some of this stuff.
Yep.
Because listen, at the end of the day, this is kind of what I'm figuring out. As guys, not to make it about the guys, but we're all sort of dealing with the same stuff.
Yeah.
As far as the women in our lives. Is that fair to say? And I don't mean that. I don't mean that in a negative way at all. But it's the same thing, just in a different version as you talk to your friends.
You lost me. You're gonna have to backtrack on that.
All
one.
right.
With you because women.
Oh,
same
Jesus.
Thing.
How come she totally gets it?
Wow. I'm gonna step out of my podcast and you guys just go ham.
We have talked about this issue and I've talked to you about it, and you haven't embraced it as much as I think you probably should. But this my wife is at a show tonight, so she's not going to watch this.
She doesn't watch anyways.
I don't think she does. I don't think she does. My wife doesn't watch literally anything I do, and I do a lot of stuff, and it's sad, but we could talk about her lack of support another time. There's a new thing, and I almost feel like it's a TikTok trend.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yep.
I
love
get
TikTok.
I get up. My wife sends me a lot of TikToks, and I'll watch a couple, and I'm like, "What is she trying to tell me?" And it's like, "Oh, yeah, right." You know what I'm saying? It's like, it'll be like weaponized incompetence is when you pretend you don't know how to fold the laundry, and I'm like, "This bitch telling me I don't know how to fold laundry." That's what it is. I get messages but I have to watch as many as she sends, and I got to solve the puzzle. I got to figure out what the common theme is. Like, oh, I think I see what she's saying.
The last one's folding laundry.
Yeah.
Yeah. There
But
you go.
now the new thing, and I almost feel like it's like a TikTok trend of some sort, is you don't react when I tell you something the way I want you to. And the best was her sister and her had a little thing the other day, and she was saying to me, my sister, blah, blah, blah. And I went, oh, she didn't react the way you wanted her to.
Yeah.
And without even skipping a beat, and in her mother's best voice, she was like, yeah. And I was like, no, you're not. No, she didn't react the way you wanted her to. Now you're mad.
Right.
Yeah. I get that quite a bit. Me and my wife have very different reactions to things, and usually mine's zero reaction, and she just.
Well, Claudia mentioned maybe
or
her aunt died, and you were like, yeah, well, aunts die.
I mean, listen, her family's probably watching this, so way to go, bucko.
Hey, little Timmy, sorry about your aunt. Terrible news. Everything.
Just in general.
Does he do that too? Where you're talking about a subject, and he picks the one time where that one time wasn't quite what you're saying, but all the other ones were.
It's the don't lawyer me conversation. Yes, it's or I overreact. So I don't react at all, or I spill something and want to kill everybody. It's one or the other.
Well, your reaction is to solve the problem, because I think that's what you do, and I verbalize this, so this is nothing new.
Yeah,
I just want you to listen. I don't want you to solve the problem. I just want to.
Yes.
Just want to communicate.
Oh God, if that's not the worst.
No, it is. I will say this: we don't really argue. We'll have discussions. We really don't argue. But this is the one thing, because I solve problems. That's what I do for a living. So as my beautiful wife is talking to me, I hear some of it, but it's like the Matrix in my head, and I'm just going through data and streams and streams of data, and I'm just waiting for her to get done so I can tell her how I solved her problem. And I probably did solve it, but she wants nothing to do with it. Wrong answer, buddy.
Yeah.
Just wanted to
Sorry,
talk
the
to you.
correct answer was just listening.
Listen.
And that's the thing, though, right? And I'm telling you right now, I have the same problem. Sometimes I will say the obvious solution, and it's like, don't tell me what to do. And then other times I'll just sit there and I'll nod along. Nothing? You got nothing to say about this?
No win.
Yeah, you're not gonna win, but it's not about winning, Joe. It's about understanding their perspective. That's one of the things I've learned in our relationship.
Yeah.
We don't have to be right. We just have to understand our perspectives. But on a serious note, I think that's probably why we don't fight a lot. Like, I think we're pretty understanding of that. Because usually the other problem is if we get mad, we both go quiet. So the other problem is like, so like we will go radio silence, and then it's just who's gonna last longer. And I like to
the reason why we have to agree to disagree is because you probably can't find two people that are more.
We're very different in a lot of things, but I think it works because we add things to each other that we don't have. Like, I don't think I'd want to be married to me.
I imagine there's a lot of people that feel that way.
You for real? There's a reason why she snatched me up right away. Like right away.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even get to the street. I was still on the sidewalk, and she's like, "Get over here."
Explain. Help us out with all that. Or is that not true? Because he said that before, that you locked it quick.
Locked it down quick.
You weren't going to let this guy get away. Is that right?
So, I mean, it did happen quickly, but when you're 40,
you're almost dead. So like you got your time is finite. And when she says when you're 40, I was 40. She was 44 at the time.
Yes.
Oh yes,
true.
yes,
40s. When you're in your 40s.
My wife's a mermaid. Yeah, she was like, "This guy's incredible. I gotta have him in my life. Never messes up." That's what she said to me.
I would be curious what she has to say about it. That's a good answer, though. Good answer. Good answer. Claudia, your turn.
It was different for me though because I had been divorced for a much longer period of time, so we were in different places.
What place was I in?
Not divorced for a very long time.
It's a good place.
It was. So like, I think for like, she allowed me to go through my shit and also like develop a relationship. So I think that was like her patience, because she's been through it, and she tolerated some jabronery. I think that's a word. A couple of times that I almost killed the Provenzanos. It wasn't.
But had not March 2020 have happened and the world shut down, things may have been different.
Dang, you would have left me, but you always stay with me because shit shut down. No, she didn't set it on it.
Thank God for that pandemic, bro.
Thank God you couldn't leave. Oof. That is horrendous.
What I mean by that is we hung out with one another a lot because we were, you had to have that inner circle right away, and we were one another's inner circle.
Yeah, my cute wife thought I was gonna leave her the day I got divorced.
That is true.
Like the next day, she just thought I was gonna give her the boot.
Why did you think that?
I thought I was gonna be this will be fun while I'm going through it, but once I'm through it, I'm just gonna, go out there.
I mean, I am kind of stealthy. You can't blame her, right? I mean, this is like the Kentucky Derby every day when I'm out there.
Yo, God, yeah. That's
what come out in fancy hats,
right? Yeah. The fancy hats. That's the best part of it.
There are a lot of fancy hats.
So he talks about you all the time. I know he's joking a lot.
My wife, but that's what I hear.
Yeah, it's hilarious, isn't it? Because it's all bullshit. It's all it is. All this, when he says it, you always know something totally nonsensical is going to come out of it.
No, my favorite is it's now she knows when she says something in the house, it may go live. So now it's just tiptoeing a little bit. And I'm like,
good play. That's a good play right there. Yeah. Anything you say goes on blast. So watch it.
No, but I mean, I think like the beginning was like, to her credit, she put up with a lot because I was going through like a lot. Like,
but I understood it because I'd been through it myself. So it was,
correct. It was
I
think it's a risk on both ends. I think, I do a lot of divorce work, and people are like, I'm never going to get married again, or like, what am I going to do? And I don't want to get hurt and all of that. But I think like it's, you only have, as we talk, we only have so much time on this earth, right? Like, so like, why would you want to like spend time with somebody you love or could fall in love with? And even if you don't end up with that person, like that amount of time you did spend, you're going to have temporary happiness and a great time. And is it worth all the hurt? Probably, because the alternative is you're just by yourself, like, and then you're just in a perpetual state of misery because you're just with you. You don't have anyone to share it with. So I think just allowing yourself when you're going through that process to be open to it. Like I had done enough work by the time I met my wife that I was receptive to it. Like if we would have met earlier in my divorce process, there was no shot because I just wasn't there personally. I didn't know how to make myself happy, and then never mind make somebody else happy. But I think we have such a finite time here. I think the reward far outweighs the risk. Like even when you're in a relationship and things don't work out, you could take things from that relationship and said, okay, that was a win. Right. Like even, okay, the relationship didn't work out because X, Y, and Z. Some of it, maybe it was me. I'm not going to do that in my next one. Right. And then that next relationship's a benefit from it.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just everyone passes away. Like, your pets pass away, your spouses may pass away. Like nothing is
aunts, definitely aunts.
Yeah. Like I'm not going to be sad about it if you're like 89 and up. Forget about it. But like, it's just so, why not take the risk on something that's nothing's permanent? So I'd rather try to go enjoy life. And she was just perfectly accepting for that, because there was moments I had a off-colored comment in the mall. It was probably one of the meanest things I've ever said in person to like anybody. Like, and it's like one of those things you say and you hope the person just says joking after. And even if I said joking, it wasn't funny, but I just stared at her and I'm like, well, that's the end of this relationship. And it was over. Like,
what did you say?
I did pretty much drive home going, well, that's the end of that one.
Well, no, I'm not going to repeat what I said, but I can tell you, like, it started off with me, like, basically having a breakdown about a dining room table at the Pottery Barn that used to be in my old house. And then she was trying to lighten the mood, and that didn't work because I was already in a mental hellhole, and I just launched a very mean comment.
The Pottery Barn table was a trigger of some sort, which I didn't know
wow.
at the time.
Yeah, I got triggered by a dining room table at the Pottery Barn. That's where I was mentally at that point in my life. And so I remember the next morning, I just, like, it was so bad. Like, I followed her back from the mall and pretend like I just happened to be going the same speed as her on the highway, which never happens. She drives slow, slow as shit. And I'm like, I get off the exit, I'm waving, and she's just staring. So it was a long text message that morning, and I think I saved it. I saved it.
Owning up to your shit is important, and that's what he had done. So in my, in that morning when I read through it, I was like, wow, it actually made me think more about who he was as a person, the fact that he could apologize, own up to what he said. And I think it actually, it was hurtful, but it actually kind of drew us closer by the way he owned, he was a man, he owned up to it. And that was more important to me at the time than what he said, because I know he didn't mean it. It was the damn table.
I'll tell you when we're off air, but it was aggressive. It was really aggressive. But I would just do random dumb shit like that. I went to her son's basketball game, and I never even. This was 4 months before I even met her son, and I will. So me and my buddy Matt. So one of my best friends, Matt, was going through a divorce. We lived right down the hallway from each other. So it wasn't the greatest time, but in that circumstance, it's the greatest time for a shitty circumstance. So we're out to eat, and I just got off the phone with Claudia, and I'm like, dude, she wants us to go to the kids' basketball game, and he's like, what? And I'm like, for sure, dude. And we had a couple pops, and I'm like, this is definitely a good idea. So I think it was at Rocky Hill. And we walk in, and I'm already laughing hysterically, crying. And my buddy's like, what are you laughing at? And I'm like, she doesn't know we're here. He's like, what? So he walks in and he like locks eyes with Claudia and he's like, yo, bro, she is real mad. And I think you were sitting next to Mike. So like I sat down
Wait,
in the
and
front
Mike's
row.
I wasn't, but I do remember who I was sitting next to. It was like another mom, and I was like,
so she's texting me and I'm in the.
So wait, where did you get that she wanted you to come to the game?
I did it.
That was
I was just being obnoxious.
mm-hmm.
That's almost another deal breaker. Yeah, there was like three.
There's been quite a few.
Quite a few. I was gonna say 3. Now I'm going through all.
So at least
the
a
deal
dozen.
breakers.
At least a dozen.
That is wild. That is wild. Then the other one, I love going through this stuff because it's hilarious. Because like
I'm
so
not quite sure it's that funny.
it's hilarious. So the first time I posted it on my Instagram, it was like I just heard a knock at my door, and she was not happy about me sharing my happiness with everybody. She's a very private person, like very, very much.
We're very different in that way.
Yes, like when
him telling me the reason why he didn't tell me that we were going live today was probably for that reason.
Yes. Yeah.
Because if he told me,
yeah,
I would be like, let me rethink.
Yeah. Yeah. So like when we were dating, I would just post pictures of her all the time. Like not. I mean, you can't blame me, right? Like I just want to show off like my accomplishment. And she's like, I'm nobody's trophy.
That's pretty much
it. Yeah.
That's
but
good.
Yeah, but it was like it was, and then the pandemic came, and it all panned out.
I'd like to circle back to what you said about.
Oh
people,
no!
About people going through this and saying things like, "Oh, I'm never going to get married again," because I think you probably said that. I definitely said that, but I don't think it was that I didn't want to get married again. I think it was I don't want to have to go through the divorce again. Like I don't want to have to go through that. I think it's more about that than it is the whole getting back into a relationship.
Yeah, I think it's it's that people are worried about that risk again, that heartbreak, right? Or people are infatuated. Well, I need to find my actual soulmate, like which just infuriates me because I don't think there's like soulmates. I think people don't have to realize it's work, right? Like if your first marriage didn't work out, it could be for a variety of reasons, but it takes 2 to tango.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I think if you learn from it and then you take those new skills into your new relationship, it may turn into marriage, but that's the kind of the fun part is it's growing together. Right. But what's the alternative? That's what I don't understand is yes, you don't get your heart broken, but then you're alone. Right. Like, I don't care if you have money, you have cars and vacations, but you're not sharing any of it with anybody. You're not like any type of experience. You're doing it on your own. And I think it's overcoming that fear because if you go through a positive, negative, that checklist for the positive is always going to outweigh that negative. And I think I think you're right on point with that people are worried about the heartbreak, but it's like that with everything. It's like having a dog, right? Like, you're going to have a dog for 10 to 14 years and you're going to get another dog after that. And your dog passes away and you're just that like, listen,
It's really sad when your dog passes away, but when your aunt
yes,
it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
that
she don't weigh more than 10 to 14.
Yeah, they were. Yes, I mean,
yeah,
like went from horse and buggy to like cars that go in water now, right? Like that's a good life. But like my point is like you get a dog and you're like, I'm never gonna get a dog again. Like I can't do it again. Like the heartbreak. And then you go and get another dog, like, and you love that dog the same, if not more than that. Or I couldn't speak about having kids, but I would imagine you have your first kid, you have Jess, and you're like, I can never love another child like I love my firstborn. And then you have a second one, and you don't love that second one any less. You love that with just as much as the first one.
Yeah. You do.
I mean, if you ask my mom, if you ask my mom, she saved all the love for me. Sorry, Di, but it happens. You always got my dad though. Another topic. But I think my point is like you always find that love again. You have an infinite capacity for that. But you have to get over that fear of the heartbreak, and I was able to do that. I don't think I ever feared getting my heart broken again. Like, and I think that was kudos to her. Like it was never really out there. Never worried about it. Like I was so busy trying to find myself and what was good for me, and she allowed me to do that while we were working on us. And I think as couples and in relationships, you have to be able to work on yourself and then work on the unit.
Yeah.
Because if you're not good, then the unit's not going to be good, right? And I think that's one of the things that we're pretty good at, is that we take time out for ourselves, but we also do things as a unit too, and it's a good balance. It's not like we got to do everything together all the time. We have very separate lives that allow us to grow personally, but then our personal growth inevitably leads to our unit growth.
Yeah, I think that we're both your full-time job and this business, your coaching business, my full-time job, and I do personal training and health coaching as a side business too. We're both in the helping field. So like at our core, we like are the same people, but we're very different. But like
I'm way better looking.
Peel back the layers, our values are the same, but
Yeah.
we are totally different people. And I think that's why it works.
That's amazing. You could see through all that, you know?
All my greatness.
Yeah.
You have to peel back lots of layers.
Lot of layers.
Are you for real?
It's a big
Yeah.
onion right there.
Now
Cracking
she just called me fat. Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you would never. We'll bring up that.
I know. So I know you're very private, and I don't want to get into your thing, but you guys obviously get along with your ex-husband. Yeah. How did you? Has that always been was it an amicable divorce and you've always gotten along? Because that's very rare. And how did he feel about Vin when he first met Vin? Was it like, really, this guy?
It takes a lot. People, this is funny because we just had this conversation, because now we go to baseball games and people are like, wow, look at you guys. Like, I can't believe, you make it so easy. How did you get, it wasn't always easy. It was there was a lot of work that had to happen individually, personally, for me, I think probably for you too, but then also as like a, as a unit with him and, his new wife and, with Vin, and it wasn't always pretty like it is now, for sure. There were things that I think had to happen to get to this place, for sure. There were a lot of things that had to happen to get to this place, but as grown adults, you can do it. And again, I'm getting, for some reason, I'm getting to these core values, but if you put the kid in this instance, it's one child, but if you put him at the center and his needs at the center, that's how it all works. You have to put your own shit aside. And when you put your own shit aside and you really just put the kid first, that's when everything falls into place. But that takes a lot of hard work.
And I will say, given my business, you don't see it too much. And even when I was first in the picture, I noticed it right away with Claudia and Mike. It wasn't as good as it was now, but the kid wouldn't know the difference. At the end of the day, as difficult it is as a mom hearing a child talk about another mom, or I would assume if he's at his dad's and he's talking about me, how difficult that it is for that particular parent. But neither one showed it. And I will say, for me, the adjustment was having a child around, because I didn't have kids of my own, obviously. So I think the bigger adjustment was for Claudia and Mike to have me in the picture, and especially as a dad, to give him his kudos. I'm a handful, and I had to learn where I could tote the line and not tote the line. And it took a bunch of good conversations with Mike to get to the point where we are now, where it's, we'll go to a happy hour, we go golfing, we talk. And I think that's a credit to my wife as well, because I know a lot of wives may have a problem with that, but they both have this ultimate focus on the kid. And even Jess's stepmom, Jen and Claudia talk now. And I think for me coming in and showing, hey, it's okay to have the relationship with the other parent, kind of opens up things a little bit. But at the end of the day, this kid has the ultimate family setup, because he's got two strong families that just care about the kid. But yeah, it was an adjustment, but for me, it wasn't that hard of an adjustment having Jess around. It was easy. The kid's super smart. He's a great athlete, just a really good kid. The transition was easy for me. He could have been like, screw you, you're not my dad. We never had those conversations. Like we didn't have that. Like,
giggle because of like, one day is that going to come out? Like
yeah, like and like every once in a while he'll like he'll flex a little bit, and I'm like, go ahead, kid, just do it once. But we don't. I think I know my boundaries pretty well because of what I do for a living, and I ask. I think my biggest problem was when I first came to the picture, I wouldn't ask. I did. Like, I would just go do.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I would just go do something. I wouldn't ask. And then I put my wife in an awkward situation, put Mike in an awkward situation. And when I first started, I was like, I didn't give a fuck. Like, I was like, whatever, I'm going to go do it because I had like a new toy. I had like a Ferrari. Right. Like, I'm like, I got this almost full grown kid who loves to do the same shit I do. Like, everyone leave me alone. But I think, we've had conversations about that, and and I try to listen, and it took me a while to get there. But I think it's having those conversations, especially if you're in a blended family, for those parents to have conversations with the other parents and have honest conversations. Like, that's the other thing. Like, I think for me, I think the turning point, me and Mike, it was the last baseball banquet. We just had a conversation, and I was like, listen, I think you guys did a great job raising the kid. I'm riding the coattails, and we just had a great conversation. And after that, it's been good because you have that conversation. It's about the kid. At the end of the day, it's not about me and the dad who did what, or the mom and the stepmom who did what. Like, no one gives a shit. I had that conversation with a client yesterday while I was in court, and he covers like all of the bills for extracurricular activities. Like, I just want her to learn, and I'm like, it's not about her. It's about the kid. Like, she's never going to learn. And if you just be like, okay, this is what I'm going to need to do, and my kid is happy, and my kid is doing these activities, then that's the win, right? The fight, there's never a winner in a fight. Like, legal custody, all of that stuff, there's just going to be losers. The kid's going to lose. The parents are going to lose. Parents are going to spend money. The kid's going to be upset because now the parents are talking shit about each other. And for what? And it's not an 18-year sentence. You got a life sentence with this kid, right? Like, that kid's gonna have kids, and then you guys are gonna be grandparents, and this is you might be divorced, but like, you're always going to be together. So make a choice. Like, you don't have to be best friends, but it's just so much easier than the alternative, and I tell people that, and they don't listen, and that's why I have a job. But I think that's the most impressive thing for me, being an outsider, because I got that bird's eye view. I sit in a bird's nest in my house, and I watch it all, and it's really phenomenal on what his parents have been able to do to this point. And they both tolerate me, which is wild. Like, I remember the first time I met Mike, he was dropping Jess off, and he was in like a work truck, and he works hard, and he's in landscaping and all this stuff. And he looks like a dude, right? He's just like this big dude. He's like dirty and works. And I'm like, Jesus, that's a guy. And I come around in like salmon colored pants and a baby blue t-shirt and loafers. And I'm like, hey, I'm Vin. I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, but it's all panned out. And I'm super fortunate. Like, I am. I know not everybody has that, but I think everybody can. You just got to put your ego aside.
That's the whole thing. I think people's hurt gets in the way. I think there's a lot of emotions that get in the way, but those are the things that I think if you can put aside and put the child there in front, that's how you make it work.
And you also have to have like a decent parent on the other side. Like, I mean, your situation's is a little bit different. So,
well, and it's funny because of what you just said. 99% of the time, you're right. You are married to that person, ultimately forever. I was fortunate that within 6 years of us getting divorced, she terminated her rights to the children and vanished off the face of the earth until she recently resurfaced with a DUI. Fucking loser.
Get him! Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, love that mugshot.
Is that going on the Christmas card?
Oh, dude. God, yeah. Here's what we've been up to this year.
update.
I never thought I would be so excited to see somebody get a DUI. Honestly,
dude, it's okay. Like people are like, you shouldn't feel that way. Fuck that. Like, listen,
if you knew 2 stories, you'd be like, yeah.
Good
for you.
Good for you.
Yeah. It's a win. We talk about wins. I got that news and I was like, oh, I'll tell you right now. I don't ever think about my ex-wife. People have to remind me, right? We were married for 7 years. I have 2 wonderful children, one of whom is here producing this show tonight. And I don't care. I never, you know what I mean? Like, we got divorced and I was like, whatever. Like your aunt dying, like that was fine, whatever. And because you just do, you power through and you move on. Yeah. And I told you this, I was like, I'll never date again. I was completely, the idea of women, not that I was going to go the other way. Don't get me wrong.
We're not judging here, dude.
But like,
good for you.
Oh yeah. I had I remember telling my kids, I'm like, it'll just be us. It'll just be the 3 of us. And this will be great because this person was a psychopath, like to epic proportions. And I went like a good, I don't know, like 6 months after my divorce, just nothing. Didn't date, didn't want to date. People were like, oh shit. And I'm like, nah, I'm all set. Not interested. And I probably could have never gotten married again. Like that would have been easy, I think, to do.
But then why did you?
I don't remember. No,
that's interesting though. The same thing.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I met my wife. I saw her at a funeral.
Nice.
And the same day,
sure you weren't upset because someone.
I was just there.
This guy's out here funeral.
I was just
crashing.
there. Yeah, I was just there thinking,
where's the sad one?
She lived a good life. I'm here. But I saw and then there happened to be a book signing later in the day, and we eventually started chatting. Okay. And then and that's how we got together. And she was attractive and professional and single. And it was like nothing I'd ever seen in my life before.
The unicorn.
Yeah.
It's a great white buffalo.
Yeah. I'll tell you something. I'll reveal this for the show. The second time we were together, because she was living in Boston, she broke up with me. Oh. Yeah. She literally was like, yeah, I don't think we can see each other anymore. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Whatever.
Been through this before.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, no, that's great. Whatever. Okay. I mean, this is cool. And so she left, and I was like, well, easy come, easy go, you know? Because I didn't want that. And then she called me up like an hour later, driving back to Boston, and was like, I like you too much. And I was like, nah, nothing you're saying is making any sense here. I don't know what that means. And I was like, dude, listen, because she was concerned she lived too far away.
Yep.
I can understand.
How is this going to work out? And I was like, you're right. Probably won't. But we enjoy each other's company. Mm-hmm. You've come up. She came to Connecticut. I would go up to Massachusetts. And I was like, dude, let's just do that. We don't have to get married or anything. Could just be this. Could be this forever. Yeah. And then like a month later, she sold her place and moved in with me. And that was the end of that. So,
but I do like the one thing I always tell people to, especially people who are like parents, right? Like single moms or single dads. And they're like, I don't have time. Right. But that is just an excuse, because it'd be like a 10-minute Starbucks. Like we would go get coffee, or she'd come by for like 20 minutes between kids, like CCD class. And like that was some of the best times, because it's like that little window, but that person is making that effort. Because for me, it was she had a bigger life than I had at the time. Like I'm going through my shit, but like it's just me and like my dogs half the time. Like, but she was cutting time out of working a bunch of jobs, right? Raising a kid, and then finding that 20 minutes to get to Middletown or whatever the case may be. And I think my point is like, you could always find time to enjoy it. And the other thing is allow yourself to have happy moments. I had a client the other day, and she's always upset, and I understand it, but I'm like, it's okay to be happy. Right. Like I was talking to our neighbor, her husband just passed away. Dude, they were together for like 65 years. I couldn't even imagine like being with someone that long and then they're just gone. So we're talking, and I said something and she started laughing. And I'm like, doesn't it feel good to laugh a little bit? She's like, yeah, but I feel so guilty when I laugh. And I'm like, but you're allowed those moments, right? Like you're allowed moments of happiness in your darkest times. And eventually you'll have more moments of that happiness if you allow it to happen. And that's where I was when I met Claudia. I was at that point where I'm like, man, I'm going through a divorce. Should I really allow myself to be happy? Right? I should just be miserable and be sad about it and be depressed and just wallow. But no, I should allow myself for those moments of happiness. And I think that's one of the biggest things. And when you're going through divorce, because it's a big change of plans, right? Like there's very few things in life that's really going to alter your path more than a divorce. And it's accept the, you're going to be upset and that is fine, but allow it to be a moment and not a forever. Right. Like I had one lady, I would tell her to set her alarm and she would cry for an hour and shut the alarm off. And then one day she called me, she's like, I set it for a minute. And I started laughing at myself. I'm like, because you allow your time to be upset, but then also allow the rest of your day to be okay. Because it's okay to be okay when shit hits the fan.
I think that you have the type of personality where he can get himself out of the hole on his own. Where some people need, like I needed my floor friends to help me get through it. Like I remember I was, my friend Alicia, she'll remember this. She's like, if you don't go out, I'm going to rip you out of your bed by your ponytail. But like, I needed that because I was in my own way. And unless I had those people to help me, like get back, like literally get my life back, it wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have done it on my own. But I think you can really like talk yourself out of that. But a lot of people need help, whether it's friends, whether it's like, professional help, whatever. But I think it's once you can realize that you can be happy again, then it's just like smooth sailing. But it's like getting to that point.
Yeah, and it's your perspective of everything. Like people got to remember, you control that. Like no matter what happens in life, you control how you intake the information. Like I was super fortunate. I had my best friend Matt like right there, like down the hallway. Right. And I wasn't a big talker. And like, yes, I'm able to pull myself out of stuff. It took a lot of work, like through therapy and things that I was doing, but I had Matt. Right. And we would be upset, but then we would just make fun of the guy in between our apartments who was sadder than we were. And I'm like, well, at least we're not that fucking guy. Like he can't go to the 6th floor. His room's got to be on the 5th floor. But, but I think it's okay for people also, if you can't get yourself out of it, then go get some help. You have your floor friends, and I think it's good to confide in your friends, but I think it's good to have someone outside your friend sphere because your friends are going to tell you whatever you want to hear, right? And they have the best intentions, but they're essentially going to be mirroring what you're doing. So I think that's why the coaching practice or therapy or whatever you're doing, go outside of that because there's so much out there. And we're so lucky now that people talk about mental health the way they talk about mental health today. Because there's zero shot 5 or 10 years ago that, some guy's going to come on a podcast and talk about mental health or even women for that matter, right? That's something you guys met up, had some coffee and just kept it within your circle. And now I think it's almost abnormal if you don't have something going on, because I think everyone has that passenger in the car. Everyone has that friend anxiety in the car, whatever, to what extent that is the question, but like everyone has it. No one's sitting here with like squeaky clean, like mental health. And I don't have any issues. We all have it. It's just how you're coping with it and getting those tools and having a partner in life and to go through that with, right? Because maybe she went through something I'm not familiar with and that helps me out. And it's vice versa because we react very differently to the same thing. Ooh, and like you couldn't get 180 from each other, but I think it's that balance because if you have two people reacting the same way, you're going off the cliff. So I think you need both to kind of like balance each other out.
That is true. I overthink it all. And then that spirals into.
Oh my God, dude. Oh my.
But he won't think and he's the impulsive one. So like when we come together, we can meet in a happy, in a happy place in the middle. But
sometimes it's happy. Sometimes it's just a middle place.
That is true. That is true.
So let me ask you this. What do you think is more important for a person? If someone, right? Like I'm just picturing in my head right now, a big fan of this show, someone who's alone and in need of companionship of some sort. Do you think it's more important to get a good circle of people around you in friendships or to find the right relationship with a spouse of some sort?
Can I answer that as neither?
Yes.
Oh, that was going to be my answer.
That's going to be your answer?
Come on.
You were in my head.
You explain it your way, and then you do it in your totally different way.
So you can have all the friends in the world, and you can have, as many, in my case, men beating down you. Not that they did, but.
Whoa, here we go.
And that didn't happen.
Yeah, it did.
Because
we're going to talk about your kid when we get back home. If you don't work
on yourself and you don't get yourself in a healthy place, then it's no matter what. The right person can come into your life. You can have a group of supportive friends, but unless you work on you and get yourself in a place where you're ready to accept that relationship, it's not going to be a healthy one.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I mean, I always say you got to make yourself your first priority. Because if you're not good, if you can't take care of yourself and you're not good, how are you going to help anybody else or just make anyone else better or be fully there for somebody when you're not fully there for yourself? Right. So I don't think and I think that's the problem. People go searching for that soulmate. I need a relationship. No, you need your most important, your longest lasting relationship is with yourself. That's the relationship that is there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Right. That's the only relationship you'll ever have that just, it never leaves. Right. And I'm bad at it. I'm rough on myself. And I know, sometimes I catch myself and I flip it around. And sometimes today, I'm in it to win it. But I know I'm in it. I'll be fine tomorrow. And I'm just okay, this is the day it's going to be. But you can't go searching for someone who's going to make you better. My wife, she didn't make me better. She added something different to my life, which makes my life better. But you got to work on yourself and be able to count on yourself at the end of the day. And that person, or even your friends, your floor friends, they're adding to your life because you're already good, but now your life is better and great. Right. So if my floor friends go away, yeah, I'll be sad, but I'm good with who I am at 44. It sounds like being an ass, but I wouldn't care. I'd care, I'd miss them, but it's not going to change me. It's not going to affect how I feel about myself. So the people I surround myself with now, and I have a handful of them, they make my life better.
I can definitely attest to that because I did have one other significant, I would say, relationship after my divorce in between my divorce and
how dare you bring this guy up?
But I wasn't in a good place. And so that's why that relationship wasn't a healthy one.
Yeah.
But until I worked on myself and until I got myself to a place where I could, I could be me whole and happy.
And then I came along and rescued her.
On that blind date.
Great timing.
It was perfect.
Timing is everything.
Yeah, it is.
But it is kind of true.
Yeah. I was just out there looking for broken people and found one. Took her under my wing.
I wasn't broken.
Now look at her.
Wow, you've done great work.
Is that one of those bullshit things?
That's why we had, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone knows.
We had Claudia on the show tonight to show you how good his services are. He could change your life too.
You could get one of these if you sign up for 8 courses.
You were talking about being all in the relationship, and I'm curious exactly what you mean by that. What do you mean by all in?
I think it's kind of weird now that I look back is when I had met Claudia and I was still going through my divorce. But I didn't really have any hesitation about it, at all. I've always been a relationship guy.
Always all in.
Yeah, I don't just dip my toe in in anything I do.
Yeah.
So I've always been a firm believer. I will risk getting my heart broken 100% of the time, and because it's worth the risk for me. So I think that's just what it was. I mean, it's not like we went on one date and I just knew right then and there. But if I look back, I can remember a look she gave me. I can remember certain spots, but there was never I don't think there was any doubt in my mind, because I was at that point where I was working on myself, my wife is a super warm person, and I'm like, okay, if she's able to ride with me through my toughest time, and I'm only gonna get better, shit's gonna be awesome, right? Like so, but I'm always all in, and it's good and bad.
And you also have that risk taker personality where like I don't have the the risk taker personality where I was more like fear of failure again. Like, am I gonna fail another relationship? Like I was more, scared and reserved, where you were more of the risk taker, which is just explains our personalities anyway.
How important though then is it to find like a yin to your yang? Oh. You've talked about it a couple of times, kind of although I think it's super interesting how you talked about the values underneath it all, that despite sort of presenting in different ways and maybe going about things in different ways, ultimately the core values are the same. How important is that? And how important though is the yin and the yang?
Well, I think
that's a two-parter.
I don't understand the first part, but I'll give the yin and yang. Like, I had core values. I have none. But I think they're both, they go together, because I firmly believe you have to be. My shorts are really short.
I wasn't joking. I was serious, right?
Right, they are.
I'm glad you finally noticed,
especially when you sit down. But like, I think you have to have like. It's hot in here now. Dude, I'm like, man, look at those drumsticks. But I think you have to have two different people with the same core values. Exactly. Right. So, because you have to, I want two people should be adding to each other's life. You shouldn't be bringing it's like going to dinner, right? And you go and people bring 8 of the same desserts. Like, that's going to be a shitty fucking dinner. Yeah. Like, right. Like, but if you have two people that are bringing two different things, but their core values, their goals, like they're traveling in the same direction, they may take different paths to get to their end goal, but they get to that goal together. I think that's where the magic happens. It's not, you don't need someone who has to have the same personality, same drive. Like, we have the same drive. It's just, we go about it 2 different ways, right? Like, she's very much a plotter, a planner, and I could do it on my own. And I'm like systems guy. But we end up in the same spot, right? Like, or, and just, so you need that, like, because then you're learning, right? You're learning, like, I learn a ton from my wife. Hopefully she learns awesome shit from me. I mean, she's probably taking notes all the time when I'm not looking at her.
She's told me that before.
She
takes a lot dubious notes. Dubious note taker.
Weird.
You don't get to be this successful without taking some notes from Vin.
Yeah. So I think to answer your question, you need to have the yin and the yang, but you have to have the same core values.
Yeah, underneath it all.
You see what I'm saying, though? So much of what he says about you, it's all bullshit. You really do.
My wife, but every time I'm listening to the podcast and I hear I love my wife, but I'm like, what shit is he gonna say?
I think he just likes having you as a wife, and he just likes to talk about what he did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I think you're right.
I really do. But then also, because he's a humble guy, he's got to break it down a little bit. You know what I mean? He can't hold you up in complete high regard. It almost seems like he's bragging.
I mean, you just heard she had dudes knocking down her door before I came along. Like, talk about humble pie. She's like, yo, they be lining up. We're going to rewind this shit when we get back home. I'm going to play it for your son, see what's up. So I'll tell you the story, then we'll go, because it's kind of funny. So we're at her high school reunion, and and she, every time she talked to like some like guy from high school, I'd take a picture and I'm like, look at your mom, she's a hussy. So I'm sending like picture after picture after picture. So the next night we go to the basketball game, and she sits down next to a dude and starts talking to him.
I worked with him for many years.
So
we were teachers together.
So I text her son. I'm like, look at your mom whoring it up, and he's across the gym, and he just starts laughing. But like, that's the dynamic you have. Like, and she allows me to do dumb shit like that, and she doesn't punch me in my what. So works out.
You remember that line we were talking about
earlier?
Like that line that he sometimes crosses, and I have to like, and then sometimes I'm like,
Yeah. So that's what we do.
Boundaries. He's working on them.
My wife and I have similar senses of humor and can joke about just about anything. I was joking, I think, about murdered children the other day. And I know that doesn't sound hilarious.
Yeah, that's not funny. It is, though. I want to hear about
She, for
it.
like a second, made a face, and I was like, that's funny. And she just started cracking up. And again, like, to be able to laugh and joke about the same things. Again, ultimately, so I told you earlier, we met at a funeral and a book signing. We had gone to elementary school together, and we didn't know each other well at all, but we came from the same kind of upbringing with the same values. And the person whose funeral we went to was somebody that neither one of us was particularly close to. We just went because we're respectful kind of people. And that's how, you know what I mean? And like, that wasn't lost on us. Like, we both thought a lot of other of our former classmates would be there, and none of them showed up. And it was like, oh, well, we're both here because we're actually good people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how the night started, or the day started. And we ended up hanging out for about 15 hours into the wee hours of the next day. But enough about that.
I think you said too. I think you hit it on a good point, because I think you've told the story before about how we met as a friend. My friend from high school, was working with him, but she is the kindest, like, good person at heart. She knew that about me. She knew that about him, and that's why she brought us together.
You two would be,
right.
Again, I think it's, if you kind of know somebody from their values, it's easy to be like, oh, you guys would,
both of us well enough to know that.
even though your personalities are insanely different.
But mine's way better. Just whisper it.
I was gonna say that,
okay,
but not on the show. I don't want to make Claudia feel bad. You know how it is.
I know. I got to go home with her. I got it.
You didn't say anything terrible tonight, so I feel like you're gonna be all right when you get home.
Tonight will be fine.
Yeah.
I'll see what happens.
It might be when you.
I'm not around.
Yeah. It might be when you run that video back on the guys banging on the door, because I think you might be right, actually. But I think she did say it did happen.
That'd be in my back.
Changeyourplanct.com. That's this dude's website. And I got to tell you, I love doing the show with you, because you really are, and you're a great lawyer too. And I think for the same reason, you just kind of get it. You just kind of get, and I think, I don't think everybody gets it in life. The big picture. The big picture gets lost on a lot of people, and life's hard and it sucks a lot.
Yeah.
And I think just from spending, this is his 15th episode. I believe it's 15 already. And killing it on downloads, by the way. I should show you that. They're doing really well.
This one's gonna go berserk.
If this one doesn't, I mean, really.
Is that when I get to come back?
I think you've earned a spot.
No, she's out.
Vetoed. No, I mean, I suppose the fan write-in vote maybe could help you at this point. That's probably your best bet, I would think. But no, you do. I think you give such great advice, and you're such a cerebral person. You really look at everything in such an amazingly analytical way.
I try.
And it's funny, your wife was saying you could kind of pull yourself out of anything, which I think is a quality that makes somebody a really good life coach, and just a really good, you're good at all the stuff that you do because you figure out ways, because you're a big picture guy.
I try. And that might be one of the nicest things someone's ever said to me, Joe. So I appreciate that.
Oh,
that was.
You're just
a
fantastic person. You really are. And
Write this shit down.
I'm surprised you haven't brought her by earlier, because she makes you seem so much more charming.
Dude, she's a showstopper. I can't. I can't.
Although maybe it was smart you waited 15 episodes to drop it.
Yeah, I had to. I had to tease
that was the better play for sure.
Can't come out of the box with.
How did you enjoy your first and a live show?
I got a little nervous about the live thing, but I worked through it, and this has been great. Maybe
we can have her back.
I don't know.
Probably not.
I gotta check my guest list. It's deep right now.
There's so many other people.
Let the people determine.
Oh, here we go. They're knocking down her door. All the dudes. Any guys come knocking down my door?
Can you imagine if it's all bunch of bring Claudia back? It's all guys.
Yo,
that would be great. No, I need that to happen now, please. Make sure you give us a like, a follow. Feel free to share this if you like what you see. Obviously, your sister shares this more than anybody.
Yeah, she's number one
Di,
fan.
you're the best. We really do appreciate you and how supportive you've been. We're on all the platforms. We're also on all the video platforms, the
Correct.
Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn. Who else is on LinkedIn, for Christ's sake?
I don't even have an
We're
account
on
on
LinkedIn. Yeah, LinkedIn. No matter where you go, we're there. We're going to be back next week. Another live show. I don't know who the third person's going to be. Doubt it's going to be Claudia, at least according to Vin.
I might not be here. It might just be her.
Might just be the two of us. Until next week's episode, for Vin and his lovely bride, Claudia, I'm Joe. We'll see you on the next Change of Plans podcast.